Hey guys, so doing an exposure today, obviously. I want to keep this camera straight so I can talk while cooking. Don't mind the wire. Okay. The wire. You got me. I'll just hold it. I need to get one of those selfie sticks. Anyway, I gotta make sure. Okay. So I'm gonna be eating chicken nuggets and french fries. I mean, this is kind of like my staple food now, I've realized. In terms of, sorry, I'm here. In terms of what I eat on a regular basis, this is what I eat on a regular basis. I eat chicken nuggets and fries, or chicken strips and fries, or like chicken, like boneless wings and some sort of fries. That's kind of my modus operandi in terms of eating. Hold on, I need to put the oil in because we're getting, if you can see that smoke is because there's no oil in my deep fryer. So very quickly, if you put the oil in, it won't cause a fire. Now definitely I'm gonna have to experience a fire alarm quite soon. We're gonna hear one. It's part of life. I mean, it is gonna happen anytime now. I apologize in advance for the sound you're about to hear. As I said, these videos are completely live. I have no, it's just when I have this urge to eat and do my exposure and also kind of, hold on, let me turn that. I don't want to have this alarm, so, there. Open the window, hopefully everything will be good now. Hopefully there's not as much stuff here. So I'm preheating my oil. I'm gonna make some french fries and gonna make some chicken nuggets. Then what I'm gonna do is an exposure, which basically have a bite or two and be okay with my anxiety and be like, okay, so my anxiety was this and it went to that. All right, that's basically what exposure is. Then what we're gonna do is, watch Dr. Greenberger talk more about mind over mood. He's talking about how thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and like sleeping and eating, how all those things are connected in a way that if you change one, there'll be a reciprocal and almost a functional relationship between the other three. So for example, if, I'll give you an example from me. I stopped praying as much as I used to. And I started taking my mental health seriously by concretely doing exposures on a daily basis. So this behaviors that I did, taking my mental health seriously and saying I need to do exposures every day and actually doing them. That's a behavior, it's an action. Let's say my thoughts being changed, right? My thoughts where I'm gonna choke, I shouldn't eat, eating is a risky prospect, food is danger, right? And by deconstructing those thoughts and having yourself, be in that anxious situation, allowing it to get to as high as it possibly can, allow it to peak, feel that peak, remember that peak, and then it'll come down to manageable levels, you'll realize that your thoughts will have changed, right? They'll go from I'm scared of food to, I should eat more than one meal a day, right? So that's kind of what we're going for. We're going for a change in your thoughts through your behaviors. Recognizing that there's a difference between a thought and a mood, which for me was kind of interesting. I'm like, well, what's the difference between a thought and a mood? Like they sound similar, thoughts, moods, except Greenberger, it was more like moods are like what you feel in that specific situation, that specific second. So for example, he gave an example of a mood, panic attack, right? I remember he said a mood was panic attack. So that's like something that's actually happening to you. That's almost like I want to use the word label, right? And that's I think that's a mood. Emotions are more of like what we would classically call moods: sadness, anger, anxiety, fear. I don't know, apprehension, hesitation, rigidity. A lot of those ones. Okay. So that being said, the oil is being preheated. I think it's gonna take a couple more minutes. So I'm gonna go outside, get my, I'm gonna go outside and have a cigarette and just kind of stay in my car and just kind of, I had my notes in there. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna keep talking until my food's ready because I don't like literally just having no talking like in my videos. I've researched, like I've kind of went through my videos again and looked through them, and I realized that when the videos have not very much talking in them, I find them to be super awkward. They're like super like, well, what is this guy gonna say now? It feels like very disorganized. So with that being said, I want everyone to know what's going on. What am I doing? These are exposure videos. What's exposure? Exposure is a hierarchical process used in psychotherapy where people who have anxiety, they use it as a way to help them, I guess, manage or treat, combat these feelings they have. Excuse me, I'm just getting my shoes on. So with that being said, that's basically what I'm doing. If you've seen these videos span about a 7-month period, you'll see 7 months every day, except for Saturday, so that's about 6 times a week. I don't know how many weeks that is. And you'll see, in the beginning, my anxiety levels were, 90, 80, 70, and they went down progressively. You could see they went down to like, I think something like 20, and then from 20, they slowly went down. I was in like a bit of disbelief. I couldn't believe how fast they were going down, like, in terms of like, I couldn't believe that after, after a certain period of time, I kind of got bored with my exposures. I just couldn't believe first of all, I couldn't believe that they worked. Anyway, these are my videos of what I do. I'm just waiting for my food to kind of cook right now. And I'm just filling up space. And I'm gonna have a cigarette. I'm really hungry. I mean, I'm super hungry today. Today's a good day. Today's considered a good day because I get paid today. And that's always a good day for everybody, right? So trying to have everyone kind of enter into my world. Sorry, there's like some sticky thing on my phone. Obviously Coke. So in my world, I try to keep it simple. I do my anxiety on a daily basis, and I try to understand the basic premise of psychology, and it's coming to me. It's understanding it now. When I say now, I don't mean like I understand it fully. I mean like it's coming to me now, and I'm understanding it more and more. The first thing you need to understand about psychology is that your thoughts and your emotions and your moods, not necessarily your thoughts, more your emotions and your moods. That's what I found to be quite challenging to get over the first time, that your emotions and your moods are actually different. That emotions are different than moods. And if you think about it, when someone says I, have this emotion, or that, I have this mood, they're considered synonymous. So if in modern kind of, I guess you could say, vernacular, we would use them almost as the same. What is the difference Dr. Greenberger is talking about? Right? Between a thought and a mood. I for the love of me, took a long time for me to understand it. And to a certain extent, it's really hard to kind of, I guess, believe that there is a difference between your thoughts and moods unless you kind of just believe in Dr. Greenberger. I mean, he's so well known in the circles of psychology. Everybody cites him. That, I mean, you could look at the psychology yourself. You could look at the research yourself firsthand. And be like, oh, so this is the evidence for moods, and this is the evidence for why these moods are not called thoughts. I mean, why these moods are not called emotions, and this is the evidence for emotions, and why these emotions are not called moods. We could do that. I want to say just have faith in Dr. Greenberger. I mean, you don't say this a lot, and I try to keep religion out of these videos. It's strictly psychology videos. Still, I want you guys to have faith in Dr. Greenberger, because he is like considered the expert in this field of anxiety and depression. So, it's like when a teacher says, like the atomic number of oxygen or something is like 15. Yeah, you can go up to the periodic table and look at the research as to how it was done, as to how it was 15 and not 4, and what that even means, and the philosophy behind who first figured it out, and all that crap. Or you can just trust your teacher, because, just pass the test, literally. It's at this point where, like, psychology is very interesting, and I want to keep it very plain and straightforward. Not like, oh, blah, 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 according to this, footnotes. It's like, dude, if you want to do that on your own time, do it on your own time. I want to keep this very, Cliff Notes is the best way of saying it. I was actually reading, it says Cliff Notes here. Cliff Notes is the best way, like, you know, just quick, so you guys understand. So, I'm just trying to figure out what the difference between thoughts and moods. It's kind of, or emotions and moods. They're very weird. It's like, I guess emotions are kind of like, gosh, it's so hard to explain. I just know there's a difference. And as I said, I went through the definition earlier. Thoughts are kind of, emotions are kind of like what you're feeling in a certain instance, like, you know, panic attack, or I'm, I guess, worthless, or I'm fearful, or no one will love me. You know, definitely specific to you. Like, I need to be a better person. You know, stuff of that nature. Those are emotions. Moods are what we would call regular type of moods, like for example, sadness, and remorse, and, right, all those emotions that we would, I guess, call emotions. That, I guess, people who aren't acquainted with psychology would call emotions. So let's go back inside, do the exposure, and then we'll do a part 2 of what we learned. Okay, so we're back here. I think the oil is probably ready. So let's get all set up here. Yeah, the oil looks like it's definitely ready. So what we're gonna do now is put the fries in, and then put the chicken nuggets in. Oh, you know what I'm gonna eat actually? I'm gonna get a couple of these. They're really good. A couple of these. I don't want to have too many fries because I've noticed I'm eating a lot of these. Just kind of, I don't know what it is. Whatever. What's carbs? Is it? I don't know what it is. I think it's carbs. I think. Anyway, put the fries in. I think we do this all at once. No, maybe too small. We're gonna have to put some more in. Let's put. I'm gonna need a little more fries than that. Just a tiny bit more. And so, of course, I've talked about this before. Muslims observe halal food. If I haven't talked about this, I'm going to talk about it now, I guess. Muslims observe halal dietary restrictions. So, which means, like, they have to eat food that's slaughtered according to a specific kind of way, according, and kind of, like, slaughtered according to, God and all that. It's like kosher, right? And I talked about this with my therapist, and my therapist when I can afford to see him, and he basically said, look, you have choking phobia. You have this specific phobia of choking, and so, for example, if you feel the urge to, always eat halal food, or for example, or say what people in modern society grace over the food, that would be considered, and I've talked about this, safety behaviors, reassurance behavior. I don't mean any offense, and I don't personally believe this, but I don't personally believe this. You have to take it seriously though, because it is science. That religion is magical thinking. That basically, there are good things about religion, and I believe in Islam. So that's a religion. What I mean to say is, though, from a psychological point of view, they would look at it as magical thinking, as a thinking error that people have with anxiety and depression, whereby they think simply by, and I don't mean to be rude, by saying some words to an invisible person, they'll feel better, right? Or something good will happen. Or by not saying those words, something bad will happen. That's a certain magical thinking. It's an error in thinking, because psychology is based on research and science, and obviously there's no, research or science like God exists. So that's, that's as far as I'm going to get into that part of psychology. Psychology is inherently atheistic, because it has to do with, it doesn't have to do with God. Psychology has to do with what we believe, and I was thinking about this earlier too. I was actually talking at around 3 a.m. to, I guess, myself. Yeah, sounded like myself. about all this, about psychology and how it's all in the mind, and so is God real? Is anything real? And it's basically how psychology kind of goes into it. It goes into this idea of praying over your food in hopes of a cure, or for example, eating food that your religion specifies versus that doesn't specify in your religion, like halal or kosher or whatever, is not the way to deal with your anxiety. The way to deal with your anxiety is to actually deal with your anxiety and understand that it's fear, it's anxiety, and that I mean, we've talked about this very, very early in my videos, how I believe that, jinns and devils and demons, or whatever you want to call them, spirit world, sprites, ghosts, whatever people call them, right? I mean, I personally believe they have an overlapping link with anxiety. That doesn't mean anybody who's anxious is definitely possessed by the devil. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that someone who has anxiety cannot be predisposed to spiritual problems, spiritual issues that they would not have had if they did not face their anxiety. And that's one of the. This leads me to my last point, and then we're going to get into the exposure. As I said I didn't say it earlier, there's a virus going on in China, in Wuhan province, and it's a very, 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 very bad virus because it's apparently has been proven to have a human-to-human contact now. It can spread through humans instead of just animals, or it actually can spread from human to human through the air, which is very, 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 very frightening, because that's one of the most, I guess, dangerous ways of disease transmission. And so this long-winded story will end in 1 second. What I'm trying to say is, because of this disease in China, I'm sure you guys have heard of by now, it's SARS-like, in terms of it kind of comes from the same family as SARS. If you remember SARS, it was a disease back in 2002, 2003 that affected China that, almost, I believe, 700, or I think over 8,000 people were infected, and I believe about 800 people were killed. And those numbers could have been decreased, according to, I guess, media reports, because the Chinese government did not want to, I guess, release the true figures of what was happening in their country for fear of, political unrest and making China look bad and communism look bad, right? And when I first read this story today, it gave me a great idea for a video. It makes me think, you're not actually facing your problems. You're actually, and this is something that I find in a lot of traditional cultures, and it's actually very frustrating, where we believe that we are the best and we can't make any mistakes, right? No, there is no SARS in our country. And I'm not saying this is a SARS. I'm not trying to create public panic. I'm just saying this is what happened in 2002 and 2003. And there's another virus that is somewhat similar now. And, we need to kind of be okay, we have a problem, we need help. I heard today the World Health Organization is convening a meeting Wednesday. Well, that's tomorrow. Why can't you just do it today? What's the delay? I don't understand. And I was on Twitter. I was following the story very, very, as an aside, I was following the story quite a lot on Twitter. And I was thinking, one of the people on Twitter said, why don't they just get everyone in the WHO to just Skype each other, have a Skype conference? Why do we need to wait a day for everyone to get to the place? And, it's just a waste of time when and also other Twitter reports are reporting, 300 people have been infected. All the hospitals in Wuhan have been infected. So what I'm trying to say is, because of what happened in 2002, 2003 with SARS, the Chinese government didn't actually face their problem. They were in denial. That cost the needless lives of many, many people. And that's the problem we have in our culture, in our society, especially Pakistani culture, Indian culture, traditional Chinese culture, you can see, traditional European culture. It's basically a traditional conservative culture problem, whereby if someone has a problem, right, and it's obviously heightened through being, observed and, forced to do things you don't want to do, like be a doctor or be successful, or, just look good, look presentable, look good for the family name and all that, right? When something bad happens, no one knows how to deal with it because they've been fed this kind of line, we're always perfect, we're always good. So once we realize something bad's happening, it kind of shakes us to the core because we're not used to kind of facing our disappointments, facing, I guess mistakes that happen, or even facing the fact that, the great ideals like communism or whatever perennial philosophy you believe in, Islam, God, religion, good. You got to be able to be like, okay, it could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let's take a step back. Let's breathe. Let's talk about this. People are dying. And that's basically what I'm trying to say. That's for exposure. If you're not seeing what I'm getting with this, I'll be explicit. For people who have anxiety, it's the exact same analogy. You need to not care what the world says. If you have a problem, face it and fix it. If your problem is, choking on food, you really need to figure out how to deal with it. Like, what exactly do you do to deal with this anxiety? First, you give it a name. That's what I found was very helpful. You give it a name. The name was specific phobia, specific choking phobia. A name given to me by a psychologist I trusted. So number one thing you got to do is find a psychologist you trust. Now, if you don't believe in psychology, then I don't really know how I can help you. I mean, I'm assuming if you're watching these videos, you believe in psychology. And I'm assuming most people believe in psychology. The problem is where they draw, like, the quote-unquote line, right? And I don't want to get into big, like, scientific literacy or scientific illiteracy. It's just that I've been learning a lot more about science, and it seems like a lot of people don't know, like, for example, what is science? What is considered, like, the gold standard for anxiety? What is considered, for example, unhelpful for anxiety? And this is for, like, a lot of things, like, for example, people believe in evolution. And for example, I'm Muslim, so I'm supposed to have somehow this argument, like, what is the Islamic point of evolution? I have no idea. I mean, I heard one opinion, which was, as long as the evolution theories taught, posit that God was, like, the first person who evolution in the world, and wasn't actually through random genetic mutations or whatever, as long as it's like that, we would believe in it. So there's a lot of different people who say different things, and there's people who are like, oh, I can't believe we're from monkeys. So the point is, the science should be the starting point of what we want to talk about, not our feelings or emotions, or dare I say, our religions, or our texts, or our perennial philosophies, whatever we believe, right? And that's what I wanted to get across, because it's the same thing with anxiety. This is something I found last time I was doing my exposures. My last time, I mean, about 2-3 years ago, when I was kind of taking it seriously. I took it too seriously, to the point where it's like, oh, science means everything. No. I'm not saying science means everything. I'm saying take a step back, and if you have a problem, fix it. And if the problem is, like, for example, a problem that has a solution that's physical and not immaterial, how will you just try that solution? I mean, it couldn't hurt, really. So that's what I'm going to say here. I mean, exposure's almost, the food's almost done. Hopefully I didn't burn it. Looks good. Now, obviously, I'm very, very paranoid about this. Actually, I can do this off camera. It's not a big deal. So let's just do the exposure now. I mean, I'm here, the food's here. Hold on. Let's just do this off camera. Let's just do this real quick on camera. I just want to make sure it's cooked, because I'm going to just cut it real quick. If it's not cooked, I'm going to just throw it back in. I can't really tell here. I'm going to take one bite. Hell, let's make this my exposure. And then we'll end the video here. So on a scale of 0 to 100. Usually I eat over there by my TV. I'm eating here now. Like, usually I eat over there. I'm eating over here. Just quickly do an exposure. Just quickly, so then I'll sit down and eat. On a scale of 0 to 100. A 0. I'm used to this food. It's chicken nuggets and fries. I'm going to give it a shot now. Okay, so the exposure tastes very good. Yeah, it was at a 0, and I was trying to eat every day here, stay with my anxiety. I feel it helps when I broadcast my thoughts, when they're on YouTube and people, I mean, no one really watches these. I mean, still, though, it's just nice to know that they're out there for people. That's kind of my purpose in making these videos, to have people like, oh yeah, this is this guy, and what's he been doing, and because, like, I want these uncovered. Anyway, let's end it here. I'll come back with a part 2 where I basically learn more about what Dr. Greenberger is talking about. And this time we'll be talking about self-help strategies for anxiety, not depression, anxiety. That'll be the title of the next video. Remember, guys, stay with it.